Hey guys, how's it going today? Great to see you. We made it to yet another Wednesday. So glad you guys are here. How's life treating you? So let's see who we have today. We have Mr. Dan from Indiana. Great to see you, sir. JC from the Atlanta area. How's it going? We have the redhead artist from Illinois. How are you? Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate yous. So today is part 3 of the painting of Khatia. And I've been thinking of doing some paintbrush techniques, but not in that traditional using paintbrush with airbrush, but actually using paintbrush in more of a painterly fashion. Here's something I've been working on. And so basically, this is going to be paintbrush painting, but with airbrush. So you can see right now, this is where I am. Hey Thunder, how's it going? Great to see you. How's everything? Love your latest painting. Mr. Raoul from Jersey, great to see you. That's so great. Adam, 1978, how's it going, my friend? Great to see you. So I've been doing some experimenting with different mediums and slow drying mediums to make acrylic behave like oil paint. You know, Mr. Dwayne, how's it going? Great to see you. How's everything, sir? All the way from San Luis de Obispo. Go Mustangs, not banana slugs. So as you can see, this is a little rougher as far as the start, but it's a much more painterly way. I haven't even I did a very light drawing. There was no underpainting. I went straight in with brush techniques, and I've been playing with slow drying mediums and everything like that. So, what my plan is in the future is to come in with paintbrush techniques and really kind of get that thick paint and some impasto and things like that, and then refine it with airbrush here and there to add that kind of, you know, those glazes, right? Big Mountain Customs, how's it going? Great to see you. Oh man, how's your son doing? That is so horrible. Is he doing better? Uh oh man, I'm praying he's doing better and he's over that. He's in my prayers, sir. Kyle, all the way from Pennsylvania. Great to see you. That's so great, Adam. It's always a pleasure to see you, sir. And so, what a great group. So, I'm so glad Big Mountain Customs, he's doing much better. Thank God. So you can see a difference in approach. This one is working more generalized and, going towards specifics. But also, what's really interesting about this painting, guys, is it actually is in a sketchbook. So I've been doing airbrush paintings, with experimentation in a 5x8 sketchbook. So with this, which is interesting, I'm doing intercoat clears with the UVLS 4050 by Createx. And that has been working really well with the Golden Open acrylics. So it's really working. Oh, he's definitely in our prayers. I'm so sorry to hear that. It's a long road. So, I'm so glad that he's doing better. So I've been doing a lot of experiments with acrylic paint and working with them. These are some of the slow drying. Uh, I'm able to actually get blends with acrylic now. Before you couldn't because it dries within 5 minutes. But I'm actually working on the chemistry to actually give myself 35 to 45 minutes of open time, meaning that I can blend it. Colette, how are you? Great to see you all the way from the Atlanta area. So glad you're here. So that is wonderful. And so, what I'm going to do initially is I'm going to work on her dress because I think her dress is something that I can maybe come in with some paintbrush techniques. So, and maybe start them with airbrush. But I'm actually excited to come in with paintbrush techniques with this, but not your typical paintbrush techniques. And I will share that with you guys as we go. Mr. Roy, Color Graphics, all the way from New Jersey. How are you, sir? Great to see you, my friend. Okay, so let me go ahead and get my reference material. If you don't have Pure Ref, I highly recommend it. It will change everything as to how you're working. So one of the typical things would be is the whole, um, you know, would be the whole thing of the, temptation of go into detail right away. But what I'm starting to realize is there's going into detail slowly, kind of building things up a lot, a lot more deliberate, building form, that kind of thing, while getting the color correct. So there's several elements that, need to be taken care of before I can start going in, with tight detail. So I did get some new magnets. So these nice new magnets, they're nice and clean. They haven't been tinted yet. I got them at your friend and mine, Amazon, right? And I believe I got like 200 for something like 10 bucks. But I find you have to double them up, A single one just doesn't do it. But if I double them up, it's a really nice magnet. So that's good. So Bobby, how's it going, my friend? Great to see you all the way from Cape Cod. Mr. Garcia, how are you, sir? Great to see you. Great artist. How are you? All the way from New York State. So that is wonderful. So you see, I have my magnets. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a color, and we're going to start doing some paintbrush techniques, which is great. And let's see here. So I always have a lot of projects on the go, but lately I've been doing a lot of tests. James, how you doing? All the way from Texas. Great to see you, my friend. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for hanging out. Mr. James, are you a airbrush artist? So glad you're here. I appreciate that. We always love when new people come around, and hang out and share their experience. And Big Mountain Custom says he's planning to order a couple of airbrushes when he gets back to Indiana. Oh, wow, that would be wonderful. Let me know, my friend. We'll make it happen. Definitely. And so I'm so glad you're in Hawaii. Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah, I think last month we were all wishing we were in Hawaii because it was crazy. I mean, the whole thing that was going on with the blizzards and everything. But you people in the Midwest, my friends in the Midwest, you guys got hit just recently, right? Okay, so now I am going to work on her dress. So the first thing I'm going to do is to get our color. All right, so I see exactly where it is. And let's take a look. Okay, so now what I have to do is basically get the elements of that color. So that's what I'm going to do right now. And then we're going to work on the dark, because we're going to work on the dark and the light at the same time. So forgive me, what I'm going to do is to get the elements here for the actual dress, because what I have now is just the actual block in, right? It's not exactly the whole story. Okay, so interesting combination here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is open this up. No airbrushing just yet. That will come later today, maybe. But right now we're just going to attack this. And let's see. Now you can see my work area here. I'll show you. Just mix those colors. So, just going to come here, mix this color here. And I think that's pretty darn close, if you ask me. Now, you can actually, in my system, you can actually make sure that everything's correct at every stage. And a lot of times I'll take my paint and put them in here in these little jars here. They're a little messy, but they're airtight, which is good. So you have to, there's going to be some give and take, right? So that's just going to come with the territory. And of course, what we need is lots and lots of paper towels. So, maybe we should chip in our money and buy a paper towel company, right? We'd probably all break even if we buy it. Okay, so now I have the colors and I'm going to mix that right now. And I feel good about this. And of course, I can always add more of the blue if I feel that, it lost too much saturation. Okay. And I think we're pretty good. Just a little bit more. I want it to be a really rich blue. And you know what? It doesn't have to be perfect, right away, as long as you're going towards it. But with my color system, you pretty much nail it pretty fast. Oh, that's so great. Yes, fast food napkins. That's perfect. I love that. Okay, so you'll see that I mixed my blue right over here. And you see, here's the blue I mixed right here, which I feel is really close, right? And now I'm going to mix the dark, so we're going to get with that. So the dark is pretty dark, but we don't want to just go black, right? We don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we stay true to what we're painting, which is basically the same color, but with a lot of dark, So we're just going to add that over here. But there's no trick, but one of the good principles is to make sure you have enough paint, right? That's important. Now it's interesting how blue already starts out really dark anyway. Okay. And when you're working, you always want to make sure that you're nice and calm, right? So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to put down my stencil. Not that I need it, but I want to keep the other areas clean, right? That's if you're airbrushing, but if you're paintbrushing, it's good to keep those areas clean. So I'm going to look for the skin only, because that's something I definitely don't want to. Actually, this is really good. It's the opposite. So it will cover everything but the dress, which is going to be quite advantageous. Let's see. We'll just bring some of these magnets on the edge here. I have enough now, so I might as well use them. And of course, now I have these, we'll bring them out. And I should take them out of the bubble wrap. Don't need that. So what I'm stressing right now is to make sure that you're taking your time, right? Like just being calm and painting and not rushing is so much better if you just do a half hour of paint with an hour preparation. That's not bad, you know? I mean, if it makes for a better painting, then, you know, it's 100% important, you know? Oh, Patty, have a great night. Take care. Now, Mr. Dwayne says we need brown ones. What's brown ones, sir? I didn't get that one. Oh, the brown napkins. I see. Yes. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work so I have the magnets really down pretty good. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to work on one side, but this is something, if you take my classes, I'll go into this. It'll be in my book, how I can create a surface in for acrylic that won't dry within within, I don't know, maybe 2 minutes. So right now I'm going to put in my patented mixture here. And then I'm going to get a big brush and use as many brushes as you can. Make it like a game, how many brushes I can use. Because you don't want to be precious with using the brushes. You want to definitely. Now, one of the things I like to do as well is have a little mister like this. And I'll just have that going there, kind of slowing down the evaporation time. And you could wipe your brush and kind of, you don't want it, you want it to swim, but you don't want it to swim too much, right? You still want to see, you know, your pencil lines under there. Maybe a bigger brush might be more effective. Something like this. There we go. Now I can still see my pencil lines and it's kind of swimmy still. Great. Okay. Now we're going to use our dark color first. And I'm actually going to use this medium to actually thin my paints. At first, it's not going to take 100%, right? At first, it's going to be a little bit like swimmy, but that's okay because, you know, we know that we're going to do lots of layers. And I just make sure that I have my reference material. And, make the paint nice and thick. Don't be afraid to use the paint. See how when I use more and more paint, it starts to take. Now, there's real chemistry in what I'm doing. So, one of the things that we as artists have to realize is that we we are chemists, right? We have to make sure that we realize that we are working with polymers, whether you're airbrushing 100% or working with urethanes, you're still working with chemicals. And the reason they're not drying or they're drying too much or you're not having the um, the amount of control that you wish you had really has a lot to do with not knowing or understanding the chemistry, right? So that's really important to uh, concentrate on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly start coming in with the lighter color because I want to kind of build this up fast. Now with this technique, I may not get to, you know, as far as I want before it starts stiffening up, but that's okay. And you see how, the first layer kind of swims, and then the second layer will actually start to take better. Now, this is acrylic, so notice how much drying time I have in acrylic, and that's unheard of. Whenever I go into a medium, I don't leave the medium the same way that when I found it. I change it because that's just my nature. And so what I put on there was a little bit of chemistry, sir, and I will share that in my group class, and it will be in my book. Take care, Adam. Great to see you. I hope to see you next week, my friend. And I'm going to go back and forth with the dark as well. So eventually, what happens is the paint starts to kind of no longer swim and starts to take. But what is happening, everybody, is that I'm getting a window of about a half hour of drying time. I'm an oil painter, so that's really advantageous to me. The way that acrylic acts, especially with paintbrush techniques, that it dries really quickly. That's why I'm working in this small area here. Now, the beauty of it is, I'm going to get the beautiful rich color. However, I can go back with airbrush and kind of refine it. Isn't that amazing? Now I didn't wet this side because this side is going to be enough work as it is, just trying to get everything. And also, I'm going to mist this a little bit to increase the humidity, right? So, and then just kind of keep going back and forth, you know? Now, I think I need a bigger brush for some of the larger areas of the dark of the dress here. Now I am working on metal, so it is a little more slick than I did uh, kind of anticipate. But that just means I have to, you know, be a little more patient with building up these darks here. And now I'll come back in with the light blue. Someone's nephew got married in a kimono. How cool is that? See how it's starting to kind of work out now. You just have to be patient. You know, the slicker the surface. But I definitely hit that blue, you know? It's definitely the blue that I'm looking for. It has some red in it. So notice right now it's been like what, 15 minutes or maybe longer that I've been working wet into wet in acrylic, albeit it's very wet. It's still doing things that acrylic artists only dreamed they could do. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to test the waters, see what kind of blends I can get. Okay, now you see we're getting somewhere, right? Now it's starting to work together. And I've been perfecting this technique. Uh, oh, Kokomo, not kimono. That's funny. Sorry about that. So now we're getting a beautiful surface. Now, I don't know if this is going to go underneath. This is all experimentation, so you're kind of enjoying the experimentation on my on my behalf, but nothing great happens without experimentation, everybody. Nothing. Okay, so now we could come in with, now when you come in with the other brush, make sure that there's no moisture on it, right? You don't want to add water to acrylic. Oh, that's so cool. Okay, here comes. Here comes now. See how the paint starts to really kind of work really well here. I don't really need for the drawing to be like, I don't have, I could lose the drawing, after all the years of me painting and drawing, I'm okay. I could lose the drawing on the folds. That's okay. It's no big deal. All right, so now we're going to come in with those darks. And, now it's going to start playing well together. So one thing I want to say, when you're airbrushing, you have to realize that you're basically, uh, you're an acrylic painter. And you're using the airbrush with the acrylic to get certain effects. But the airbrush is not the medium. It is just the vehicle of applying it. Now, once these polymers start to coalesce, right? Once see right here, I have this little mister here. And what's that going to do? So now we're running now with, I would say, probably 25 minutes of still having this uh, acrylic still wet. So you're fighting the whole thing with, your main battle is always with the evaporation. So how you change that is you change not the paint but the environment. Right here we have this line, we have one slight line of shadow right here, and then we can work on that with the airbrush. Now I'm not sure if I'm going to get anything underneath, but we'll find out. This comes in, and then this comes out, and kind of meets right there. And you know, this brush has a nice edge to it. Now I can really start to sculpt. Now, it is kind of like 30 minutes now, so we are getting to the point where we're going towards the record. So I don't think I have a lot of time right now to continue on this side, but I'm very happy with the blocking and the color. And is that a kitty? Where's that? I don't see a cat. Did my cat come on screen? I don't know, Dan. Let's see. So I'm not trying to paint the whole thing right now. Right now I'm just trying to get a good lay-in. But more importantly, I have the color, which is great. Right here we have a little dark we can establish. Oh, I think there's kind of activity going on around the studio right now. Okay, now we can come in once more with our fan brush and see what kind of effects that we'll get. Okay, so let's see. So the paint is starting to, the polymers are actually starting to bond, but still gives us some smoothing out qualities, which is really nice. And then we'll work on side 2. But we can also do some blending here. Kind of softening up these edges here. All right, now what I'm going to do, and you can see there's a certain amount of sophistication to this. Mr. Michael, all the way from Maryland, are you back from your camping trip, my friend? Now, I have to pull these up. I think I can pull them up with this. What I want to do is just kind of peel it away from the side to see. Now, it's not the end of the world because it's not a typical airbrush painting that we're doing. Oh, beautiful. Look at that. Hardly any issues with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this other side a little bit different. I'm actually going to not do the stencil because we don't need it. I don't feel. I think there's more fear of something happening with the stencil than off right now. So Kyle, how you been, sir? Always a pleasure. How's the weather out there in Pennsylvania? I heard in Ohio you guys actually had a meteorite come by, right? And was that true? Okay, let's see. Pull this off from here. Okay, just a little bit of an issue here, something that's very fixable, so I'm not worried. And now what we're going to do, I'm very happy with how I got that blue, and I don't think I would have been able to get that blue as effectively. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this little Q-tip and some water and see if it's possible to kind of clean up. Ooh, you see why? See, the thing is, when you are working with acrylic on here, I didn't do a intercoat. So you have to be careful. You always have to do an intercoat. So I didn't do it here. But if there's nothing, you see it kind of pulled up a little bit of her skin tone. But if there's no intercoat, then you go right back down to the actual 6,000. So that's good. Camping was awful except for day one. It was windy. Oh, wow. Okay, cool. And so great. Now, let's see. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to begin this side as well. We're still going to need some napkins, some uh, magnets to keep the board in place. Now, since I'm using my little special medium there, I have to wait 24 hours for that to actually fully adhere. And then when that fully adheres, I'm going to do an intercoat before I do my next layer. Okay, now when I have a brush, I want to make sure that it's nice and clean. And then I'm going to work on my area. I probably are not going to be as forceful, maybe a little bit less this time. Like I said, these are experiments that we're working on right now, and you get to see it firsthand. So I think that's pretty cool. You don't have to worry about it, this stuff being, only on where you're working. That's no big deal. But honestly, if I was to try and do this particular area with airbrush, I would have had to do many layers to get to this richness that I have here. And then the next layer is just going to be even more rich. And then after that, come in with the airbrush and really do some amazing, amazing subtleties. So there's a method to my madness, definitely, my friends. Okay, so now I think it might be good to begin with the dark again. Let's see. This might be good. It's not too big. We got our dark right here. And let's get back to our 1 second rule. Okay. So this, I'm not swimming the medium so much, but there's a takeaway, right? I seem to have a little more control here. I'm not going into this side because this side is starting to bond, right? But still, I dare anyone to have as long of an open time with acrylics as I have. So that's what I do. Other people, have fun. They go out. I sit in the studio and I work out, you know, different formulas and different ways of making acrylic paint do what the experts say can't. Okay, so you see how it kind of skates a little bit? That's what you want. So I'm looking for the deeper dark areas right now, not the subtleties. That comes later. Now this right here is a dark in the skin, so you have to really know what are you painting. So that's a dark in the skin here, this shadow. So if I went in with the dark blue, that would be a lot of fixing in the future. Let's see how we're doing as far as how many people are in our area here. Let's see. Okay, that's a healthy group. Not, not doorbusters, but, those who are meant to be here to. Now, this is not your average live stream with Airbrush. You're not getting this information elsewhere. So I think it's pretty exciting. I mean, you always want to be on the pulse of something new, right? Uh, you don't want to stagnate. You want to keep growing. Very good. Oh, that's pretty good there, Mr. BMC. That's great. So you feel that the clear from the matte clear from Createx really helps in that effect? And notice that, I'm just kind of setting up here. I know it's going to take several layers for this to be effective, but I'm not trying to do the painting in one foul swoop. It's all part of the process. And it's okay to, you know, use the pencil lines, it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. Michael says she's looking awesome. I appreciate that so much, my friend. Thank you. See, I can't go on that side. I almost did. So when you paint, right, we have to really have restraint that we stick with the program, right? It's easy to go outside the program. So right now I just did, some quick darks here. And now I'm going to come in with a big brush and our blue that we mixed earlier. See how this blue is much different than the blue that I put in as the block in, right? There's a lot more red in this blue. But when you are really going deep into the chemistry of what what is acrylic, and what acrylic is an acrylic polymer, and it has certain chemical bonding going on, and our job as artists is to manipulate that, but first we have to understand it. So I think the actual using actually going ahead and using the stencil here actually worked against us, because I'm having a much better time using this. Oh, Michael says, have I done an abstract painting? No, not really. I've done landscapes which have a very abstract quality to them, definitely. But notice the open time with acrylics and brush here. Isn't the matte clear the same UVLS as 4050, just matte? So the interesting thing about this is that, Dwayne, that's a great observation. So acrylic paint starts out glossy, and they have to add matting agents to acrylic, and those matting agencies actually speed up the drying time. So always go with, if you want a pure acrylic or a pure UVLS, go with the gloss. And then at the end, you can go ahead and do the matte varnish over it, or the matte UVLS, the matte clear. But acrylic paint in its natural form is glossy. Oh, perfect, Dan. That's good. So whenever you see like matte paint, realize that they have to add silica into it to make it matte. But notice the richness of this blue, and I could change that in any way. Oh, thank you. Mr. Dan says don't forget to hit the like button. Now notice how the paint is starting to actually do what it's supposed to do after, maybe about 15 to 20 minutes. But 4050 is a really good intercoat, I find. I'm having a good time with it. Or an intercoat clear. As far as in the hair, I'm not worried about the blue going into the hair. I shouldn't even worry about the blue going into the background because it's going to be a dark background soon. All right, so now I'm going to continue coming in with the black, with the dark shading over here. It's important to make sure that your paint is dry, your brush. Hey there, Mr. Leahy, how's it going? How you feeling, my friend? So if you feel like, you're running out of paints, don't try and stretch it. Just come on in and remix it. And remember, I'm using this mystery medium right here. You always got to experiment, BMC, always, always. So you're in the right company. Again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mist the area. So right now we're at 1026, and I've been working in wet onto wet in acrylic, which try it at home, see how long you get. Oh, Dan had a question. What was your question, Dan? I'm sorry. Uh, let's see. Dan says, Oh, can I have your question again, sir? Sorry about that. I hate when that happens. Let's see. Dan, I don't see your question, but if you can ask it again. Hey, Ash Oto Finspiration. How you doing? Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Oh, Wendy, how you doing, Wendy? Great to see you. Remember, always try and innovate. That's always the best route to go, in my opinion. Try do things differently, but don't try to innovate too much at your painting. Do like experiments, in between and stuff. And Dan, I didn't get your question, so if you can ask again, that would be wonderful, because I can't see it. So I don't know if it went through, but I don't see it on my end. So notice that I'm using this wet on wet technique with the with the acrylics. Now these are open acrylics. Dave the Bug Gregory, how are you, my friend? Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you, sir. Thank you, all the way from Texas. How's it going? I appreciate that. And so that's great. How are you, Mr. Dave? How's everything going, sir? How's the fam? Just gonna pull this dark down here. And again, this is like very, soft areas here. But what a wonderful, base coat to come in, again with acrylic and again with the Createx Wicked paint, right? So, it's really wonderful to, kind of bridge the two worlds together. After the Riverwalk in San Antonio for the kids' spring break. Oh, that's so great. Oh, man. I love to hear that. So you guys are having fun. You deserve it. And so I still have time before all of this. Uh, and Wendy's from Texas, the Dallas area. Now here, I'm so tempted to come in dark here, but that's a dark flesh color, so I have to be. And notice how we're getting more and more strength because it stops swimming. Okay, so now I could come in and do some blending again. Stayed across from the Alamo. Maria is getting used to a lifestyle. Cool. That's great. Give my regards to Maria and the kids. Looking forward to seeing you guys in uh, looking forward to seeing you guys in New York again, hopefully soon. Mr. Steve, have a great night, sir. Take care, my friend. If anyone could see in the comments what Dan asked, just let me know because I can't see it here. So here's another thing. So right now I'm pretty much happy with that. It's a nice kind of blend. So I'm going to take this Q-tip, wet it, and then since it's on metal, it just kind of cleans right off. But I have a much cleaner area here. The fact that I didn't intercoat means that the flesh that I put in could still activate from water. So I'm not going to touch the flesh until the intercoat happens tomorrow. Now this paint that I did here, that's going to last. It's going to stay wet. You know, it'll still be workable maybe another 15 minutes, but then it'll start getting tacky, and then it would take about 24 hours for it to cure. Like if you look at this one, that's on metal, but the one I did on paper using the 600, you can see it has a different feel to it. Seems to blend, or not blend, but move around a little bit less. And let's see. So you see how, you know, now I love the fact of working rough first and then coming in, but with this technique, say goodbye to any kind of blue shift. That's a thing in the past. So it's my way of actually circumventing some of the pitfalls of airbrush because now I could either come in with, more impasto to brighten that light without having any blue shift, and then I could come in with very transparent glazes with the airbrush and do some really incredible things. Uh, oh, okay. So thanks, Bobby. So basically, this is aluminum panel, and it's with several layers of 6000 and sanding it nicely. So that's basically it. Yeah, I didn't see the question either, but thank God that Mr. Bobby got that for us, so that's good. So now I'm very happy with this. I'm actually ecstatic because if I show you guys the reference, you'll understand, how that blue would be difficult to get with just the airbrush without having to do many, many layers, right? So let's see. Uh, let's see what we have. I'm going to bring in the photo. Just got to get to that screen. Okay, so let's add the photo. Just to show you the color that I'm after, and I think this is the best way to get that richness. Wow, so yeah, so the thing is, good question. So I love these questions because they're kind of you know, purifying or clarifying. So the thing is so here's a good thing about the chemistry of retarders is that a retarder is not made out of the acrylic at all. So if you believe me, I've been working on the chemistry of golden paint. I've been working on the chemistry of acrylic on its own, and the retarder is a good thing, but if you use too much of it, it has no acrylic into it. So you see these are the polymers, right? This is what keeps the paint there. So when you add a retarder, what's going to happen is there's no paint. So if there's no paint, these polymers, these molecules are going to start spreading, right? So we think we're doing good and we add more of the retarder, and then it goes like this. Then it goes like this. All right. And then you know, the retarder only lasts so long. And then what happens when the water goes away? Then you have all these molecules that are basically um, dried, but they're not together. So what happens? What happens when you have paint and they haven't adhered to it? You would find this when people uh, try to make paint, but they don't put enough binder in it. What happens is that it goes away, that it will not adhere. That's why when people go ahead and add a lot of 4011, which is a type of it's not acrylic. It's if it's not acrylic, it's going to separate those molecules, right? So think about that. So not only do I know that there's retarders, but I also know that a medium and a retarder are two different things. So this is good. I'm glad you guys talked about this. So this right here is a medium. So the medium is basically colorless acrylic, right? So if you have colorless acrylic, right, and you add colorless acrylic to your paint, you're adding something that has the same polymer, right? The same polymer, but it has no color. So you're spreading it out. When you spread it out, then you're still going to get adhesion, right? So that's why a lot of artists will add 4050 because that is sort of a colorless acrylic resin. So that's why you'll see Mr. Steve, he'll actually add a few drops of the 4050. And what that will do is kind of, even though he's thinning it out, it will bring those polymers together. So, good lesson tonight for you guys is that a retarder and a medium are two different things. So, and also, the 4021 is a whole different thing, right? So, remember that. So, that's very important. So, good question. All right, so now what we're going to do is I am going to go ahead and let's see, maybe, oh, so I was going to bring in the picture to see the blue that I was mentioning. So yes, I do know what a retarder is. Let's see here, image, we'll go to right here. So you see the blue that I'm looking for, right? So I have to build that up. I can't get that, right? So think about it. It's really important to, come in with uh, the acrylic as I'm doing because I would have a very hard time getting that blue. And I'm not going to try and get it right away, right? I'm going to do it slowly. Okay, so that's enough of that photo. Okay, so now I think what I want to do is work on the background. And so it's a beautiful dark background. Maybe I do have the top of the piano going here, and I have the front of the piano coming over here. But I think I want to go ahead and work on the background, and that would be a lot of fun. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix a good amount of that paint. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is actually find out how to mix that dark. And once again, I'll show you that dark. Let's see. See this dark? This is the dark that I'm trying to get. This beautiful, rich, dark, almost burnt orange, So now we'll just come right over here and I'll go ahead and find that color. Now, one of the things I do, which is really important on a wet palette, is when you're working on a wet palette, you don't want to uh, use the actual paper. So if you use the actual paper, what's going to happen is when you fill up your mixing surface, then you have nowhere to go, and then you have to go ahead and actually, get a whole new paper for your wet palette. So you don't want to do that. So with this, see, you're finding all kinds of really good tips tonight, aren't you? For free. All right, so now I'm going to get my other wet palette here. Let's see, where is that? Where is that? So I know it's here. I just have to locate it. My studio has been leaving something to be desired of late as far as organization goes. Where did that go? Let's see. I think it might be down here. No. Oh man, that's all right. I know it's here. It's not far. I just have to find it. So as soon as I find it, we'll go ahead and start. But right now, I'm not going to go ahead and use this area. This is the paper for the wet palette, which is quite pricey, and you don't want to use that. Let's see. Oh, found it. So this is the stuff here. It is Gray Matter's paper palette, and it works really well. And it keeps your acrylic paints wet. And what I do is I bring this over here and I kind of hold it with magnets, but you could hold it with anything, any kind of weight, just hold it down. Let me show you. But I could use this wet palette for about 2 weeks. So I keep my paints wet for about 2 weeks, which is really quite amazing. Okay, so take care, Mr. Dave. Always a pleasure, my friend. Let's see. So now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go with the lightest color of my background here. All right, so I know exactly what color this is. And I'm just going to mix this up. And I want to mix a lot of it because it's the background. Take care, Dave. Always a pleasure, my friend. And thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate you. And see what kind of, okay, so now I know how I'm going to mix this. And like I said, you want to mix a good amount. I mean, a really good amount because this is a very large area. And when you're mixing, you take your time. There's no rush, there's no points for speed, you know what I mean? We're almost there. So once I have this color, I'll make sure I have enough of it. And then there's like one more element to add. Thanks, Dan. I appreciate it. Oh, you get red iron oxide. That's a very good color. You know, it's the same pigment that's in burnt sienna, but it's the way that it's prepared. It's transparent. It's very interesting color. Okay, and just a little bit of this. Okay, so this is a good size batch, whether it's going to be big enough. I'm going to concentrate on this side right here, and then we'll come over there. Like I said, you know, since we're doing this technique, you don't have uh, all that much time, so you don't want to bite off more than you can chew. Oh, red oxide's a very good color. I enjoy it too. I enjoy working with it. All right, so now we're going to come in with this medium here. And again, you know, when you're working this, I don't worry about this getting in there. In the wet area, yeah, I do worry about that. You know, like the wet of the blue. I want to definitely be careful of that. So I may work right up to here. Now, if I come over here, that means the half hour I have here is going to be used here. I might as well use the half hour of open time over here and then do another half hour on this side. I have no problem with my system to mix another color, another batch. Okay, here we go. Now looking at this, I definitely need more orange. Yes, definitely. It was a little brown. So when you're painting, you want to architect, you want to be the architect of the painting surface. You don't want to just kind of go with the flow, so to speak. You want to build it up in a conscientious, intentional way. So as you see now, the paint is kind of swimming on the surface, and that's what you want. That's what uh, is really important. Like I said, I'm going to move right over here, right up to about here. Then what I can do is just take my blending brush here and kind of work this in. And again, I could take, this over here. But if you ask me, if I had a choice between spray gunner, I would pick Coast any day. Ah. All right, so now we're going to come in. Yeah, I do like the guys over at Coast. They kind of were my first company, so I have a little bit of a loyalty to them. Now watch the second coat. It should start. I think I have to have my brush dry, but the second coat should start to kind of work a little bit better. Oh, cool. Yeah, definitely get the parts from Coast. But, being a Badger guy, I'm really partial to Badger, as you know. Hey, Mr. Air Todd, how you doing? Great to see you. Ah, you're not feeling well, my friend. You got a cold? Is that what it is, sir? I'm so sorry to hear it. Hope you feel better. Make sure you're getting rest, Mr. Todd. Hate to hear you're not doing well. Not feeling well, I should say. Oh, yeah, Dan, we all have our favorites, our favorite places. Yeah, we all made Coast Airbrush rich over the years. Well, at least we put them in a higher tax bracket, that's all. So see, I'm staying in the area of the painting, right? Staying in the area where I put down that mixture that I have. Okay, so now I'm going to come in with a fresh blender brush, something like this, and we'll see how it goes. I want to stay away from the dress because it's wet. So I'm just blending and then wiping. And I do like the transparent quality of the paintbrush. Just the initial layer. I can get far more coverage with the paintbrush than I could with the airbrush. See, right now I did a no-no. I kind of went in with the, see where I went in with that blue. Hit that blue. Just want to clean that up. There we go. Just clean that up a little bit. And now what I can do is come in with this little Q-tip here, kind of work out where I went over the hair. But I like USAAirBrushSupply.com for my airbrushing needs. Of course, I'm in the Badger ecosphere. Not better, not worse, just different. Oh, I see that. Mr. Dwayne orders from everybody. He doesn't care as long as they're good, honest, right? So before I go, I'm going to actually work on this area right here, a little bonus time here. So that's great for the first layer, and then we'll come in with the second layer. Let me just kind of blend this out. Like I said, this will start bonding, right? But it won't dry until tomorrow. So I would not come back in until that's dry. Okay, so I know I need orange, so I'm going to get more orange. So this is what the golden open acrylics look like. They call them the tuxedos. Uh, Certain really very elegant things about using golden open is that they tell you the pigment. PO means pigment orange 20. They show you that it's a semi-opaque. Same thing here. Cadmium red light. PR 108 is the pigment, and it's a semi-opaque. They have these little lines here, and they hand paint over it to show you what the opacity is, which is really cool, you know? Take care, Mr. JC. Have a great night, my friend. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is add some more of my. Dan says he can't believe he's still awake. Long day, sir? And a little bit of my cadmium red light I'm going to put in there as well. Definitely, you let me know if you need an airbrush. That would be great. I'll make it custom for you, sir. Whoops, looks like I got some dark in my cadmium there. I'm going to kind of take that black. It kind of got in there. Let's see. Don't know how that happened. But you don't want your paint to be contaminated. There we go. All's well as ends well. Oh man, 5 o'clock. Definitely. I appreciate that, Mr. Bobby. When you're ready. Okay, so now I'm going to make some more of that color. You want to do it with a palette knife. The palette knife is much better because once you use the brush for that, that brush is pretty much null and void, right? So let's come over here. Okay, so you see now I'm going to use this color with my black. I want to get that kind of rich, kind of luminous brown. And always have your reference with you. So what I'm also going to do, if you see, is I'm going to use this as my thinning agent. Now that has the polymers in it, so I could use a lot of it and still not have adhesion issues. I heard that that no-name paint is actually Createx. That's what I heard. So that's interesting. A lot of companies will do that. Like paint companies will make a student line and then they'll make a professional line, right? And I think that's exactly what that is. Maybe a little more black here. So acrylics normally will stay wet for about 10 minutes. So you can see we already broke that rule already. So that's cool. Okay, so I'm going to get a pretty large brush because I'm working on a large area. I don't have to be so neat. But still, we want to go ahead and work on lubricating that area first. If I didn't do this, that paint will dry within 5 to 10 minutes. While I'm working, fully dry, it'll start to actually start bonding as soon as evaporation happens. Got to be a little more careful around the blue because that blue is still wet. So it will swim, but not as much. So I'm always experimenting to see what will. Now, working on this surface is a lot different than when I was working on paper and also canvas. So it has been a lot of learning today. Okay, we're going to grab some of this paint here and we're going to. So definitely, once again, more orange. And with the 1 second rule, you always want to have your reference in front of you so you're not. Now, what's really nice is I put a lot less, not a lot less, but a little bit less of that mixture. And it seems like the paint is really flowing very nicely on the surface right now. But there may be there may be a trade-off with how long the open time is for this paint. So working with airbrush is totally different than working with paintbrush. You don't want open time with airbrush, right? You want that stuff to dry pretty quickly. So, but when you're working in paintbrush, you do want to have a good amount of open time to kind of work this together. See, coming on this side, it's actually too late. You see this? So I'm not going to go there. You have that window of about a half hour, so you don't want to do any more. And we didn't need any of the shields here, right? We're not dealing with that, which is wonderful. And this is exactly, see, I went a little bit into the blue, not good. That's where the small brush is going to come in on this side. But I do like it's getting lighter on this side. But the most important thing, Dan, have a great night, sir. Take care. My friend from Indiana. You always want a healthy block in. That's very important. And again, I'm kind of you know, getting tempted to move over here, but that already started, those polymers are starting to bond. So I can't use it. I do more damage than good. Since this is still floating in polymer, we are able to still move this around. So I was told when I was going to the academy, once, the whole painting is basically, everything, once I do this area and this area, then the painting will start really shaping up rather quickly. Yeah, autocorrect will always get us in trouble. Just kind of glaze, just kind of graze that surface. Now this sometimes, when you get to, you know, some of these blending brushes, it starts separating, and once those hairs start separating, then they kind of do more harm than good. So I probably have maybe a little open time of maybe another 10 minutes. And I do like the transparent quality of it, of the paint here. Michael says they call it auto check, but we got to check auto check. So true. Again, see, I'm tempted to go over there, but I have to refrain. I got to be careful. And then I'm going to use another brush, a good medium-sized brush. Something like this is not bad. I want to grab a lot of paint. Maybe a bigger brush might be a better decision. Let's see what we got over here. What we have over here. This one's interesting. Let's see, this is a nice big old brush here. Kind of bring that over. And you can see after about 20 minutes it starts doing its thing, But still we have a half hour more than what we're told that it can do. I'm not worried about going over the hair, but I still need to see the hair, right? Okay, now, very happy with the coverage here. I'm happy with the blue. Now I know I have to deepen her flesh tones and everything like that. And then I could work on, really coming in with, I can work on really coming in, with the airbrush now. No, so there will be brushstroke marks, but it will be dry by morning. And then once that's done, then I could come either in with, well, what I would do at that point is I would do an Intercoat clear with 4050 and kind of clear that out. And then I would do another layer and kind of keep doing that until I'm 100% happy with it. And then, my plan is to come in with airbrush and get any of those micro blends. But the airbrush is not good at getting this kind of coverage without using stencils and everything like that. There's no overspray. There's no fear of any kind of blue shift. I can basically am free to use any colors I want here. And that freedom, I think, is worth the price of admission. Definitely. Also, I kind of like some of the micro texture that's going on here. So when I come back, and if I bring in my picture here, so you can see, what my thought process is here. So now I have a really nice beginning, but I still have to come in with the dark wood of the top of the piano and then the front of the piano. But now I have the ability to use the airbrush when needed, but also use the paintbrush when I need as well, which I think is much more effective for what my goals are, not everyone's goals. But as far as what I'm trying to do, I think this is important. Thank you so much, Big Mountain Customs. I appreciate that, sir. It's experimenting, I'm doing things to kind of push the envelope. And I love that saying, if you're not nervous a little bit, then you're not pushing yourself. So I just always want to push myself, and as you guys all do, guys and girls all do, I just want to kind of, I see some things that are limited in my work and kind of work on that. And Big Mountain Custom says, don't you find that Intercoat Clear cancels out the blue shift? I don't get blue shift. Yeah, it's actually, so that's actually physics, Big Mountain Customs. So what you're doing is you're creating a layer of paint that will actually, it's clear, so it won't hit those initial molecules, right? Those paint particles. So by doing the clear is total physics. That's brilliant. So yes, so it's so true. Doing the intercoat clear does limit the amount of blue shifts. And but also what I really love about, doing the clear is that some of the most of the paint will actually go through the clear and hit the paint and come up, and you'll get that more lustrous, luminous feel to it. So that's really good. Uh, so yeah, definitely. So the Intercoat Clear with the gloss is really key, right? Big Mountain Customs. Thanks for that. Thanks, guys. So I gave you guys an extra 23 minutes. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you had a great day. Thank you, Mr. Dave, for the super chat. I really appreciate you. And as you can see, we got pretty good today working on the dress and the background. When we come back, we're going to work on her skin. That's going to be pretty important, you know. And SG 100 on bikes and automotive stuff's 40/30 or 40/50. Oh, yes, non-UV stuff. Very cool. Very cool. Well, guys, thanks so much. Thanks for hanging. I hope you all have a great week. Mike, thanks for that. I appreciate that, Michael. Bobby says, thanks, Master Tim. I'll send you a message. Perfect. All right, guys, I hope you have a great week. God bless you. And I'll talk to you soon. Take care, everybody.